Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to 2 lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast hosted by 2 lesbians who met through music. Did you know that about us?
I don't think we ever say that on the show. No.
We might never have mentioned it before, but from the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. And if you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week. This week in the Lesdom. This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. And we are going to start with our trivia nights. And the list keeps on growing. We are so excited. And this week, this Thursday, I will be in New York City. Unfortunately, Lee will not be there. But come hang out with me. Come hang out with me at Henrietta Hudson this Thursday, September 26th at 7:30. We're doing an L-word trivia night.
We also have one coming up in DC on October 3rd at XX+.
There's another one in Boston, and this is going to be a new one. We're doing LGBTQ pop culture on October 10th.
And if you're in Denver, we are going to have L-word trivia at Blush and Blue on October 11th.
We're also going to have an after party there with the DJ, so you're not going to want to miss that party. We're also going to be in New York again in October at Caveat. This one's going to be a little bit more fancy. Everyone's seated at tables, cocktail service, and that one's on October 27th.
And we're still looking for hosts or people interested in having trivia in other cities. If you want that to happen, reach out, let us know, send us an email at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
We are also doing our Patreon Season 3 campaign right now. We are so excited. We have a new tier called King Princess, of course, $50 tier. And at that tier, you get to vote on a Shoulda Been Gay. So if you want to be able to vote on what Shoulda Been Gays we're going to do, join before September 30th to be a part of that vote.
We also have a new sponsor level that's at $250 if you want us to promote any of your businesses, if you have a queer shout out that you want us to do, basically whatever you want us to record, let us know and we will make it happen for you.
You have complete control over what comes out of our mouths for $250.
Heavy disclaimer on that.
Very, very cheap date. Or expensive date. I don't know. We're also going to be going to the weekend soiree, October 31st in New Orleans. We really hope to see you all there.
And other exciting news, last Wednesday, our friend and your friend Karen Frost's book, Daughter of Fire, Conspiracy of the Dark, came out with Ilva Publishing. It is a young adult fantasy novel. I have not read it yet because as of us recording this, it is not out yet, but it will come out before you get to listen to this, so hopefully we will have checked it out. You should check it out, and the sequel's coming out in November, so get started reading because otherwise you'll have to catch up.
That's This Week in the Lesdom. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 2 of season 3, Music to Our Queers, with Angie K.
Angie K is a Latin American country singer who has independently released 2 original albums, both of which landed in the top 5 on iTunes. She's just off of a tour opening for Jake Owen. She was also on The Voice, Team Blake, and we are so excited to have her with us today.
Angie, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
I'm so excited to be here. I finally get to meet you guys.
Yay!
So, other than everything we just covered in your bio, I mean, that's basically it, right? But tell all of our listeners just a little bit about yourself in your own words, maybe, what you do.
Yeah, I've had quite the journey, like everybody. But I started off, I was working at a salvage yard like 8 years ago, so it's pretty wild to think about, which is where your car goes once it gets totaled. And I just kind of like slowly but surely couldn't not do music. And before I knew it, things started unraveling. And all of a sudden I started doing it full time, and just from small bars to getting to play, on stage in front of 12 million people for NBC, and now getting to open stadiums. Like it's been a pretty insane journey, and I'm excited to get to tell the story that I don't really get to tell that often.
Yeah, no kidding.
So how did you even get to that first small stage? Like where were you living?
I grew up in Georgia. So I was born in El Salvador, and I moved to Georgia when I was 11. And I was kind of a shy kid, and I kind of like toyed between this shy kid and trying too hard, which doesn't suit. It's not a best place to do in middle school. And so my mom saw that, and she was like, she bought me a guitar that I really wanted. My parents don't make a lot of money, so they work really hard, but I have 4 sisters. And she went and saved up and bought me this guitar. And it was finally I had my place to say whatever I wanted to say, and people had to pay attention. And I think that all the time when people talk about how important music education is, even if I wasn't doing this for a living, that gave me the greatest gift that I've ever been given, which is just to have my place and to have people listening to what I want to say.
Yes.
I love the idea that if you have a guitar, people have to listen to you.
Right.
Is that what someone told you once, Ellie? Is that
Yes. No, I mean, I understand that. I also am a musician. And
Ellie just travels with a guitar at all times now.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm
Silence,
I have a guitar
and just start playing.
Yeah. I love
Exactly.
it. We are here to talk a little bit about LGBTQ representation in music. You just released a new music video for Leave California. In the music video, there is a relationship between 2 women in a long-distance relationship. Is that true to your own life?
It's not just true to my own life. The video is so interesting because my girlfriend's in it. First of all, the girl in it is my girlfriend of 4
Amazing.
years. And she and I co-produced it. So we filmed it and everything together, which definitely tested our relationship, I'm not going to lie. But the end result was great. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I love her a lot. And to me, I'm so fortunate in that I grew up with a family that I knew would love me no matter what. Even though I knew they were uncomfortable when I came out, there was never a doubt in my mind that they wouldn't be there. And that gave me this incredible gift that I only realize now that I'm older that so many people don't get to have. And it was just that I never was uncomfortable being my own person if I felt like it was right. And so walking into Nashville and having toured for 7 years on my own in bars and never really feeling any pushback against it, I walked into, the country music television, CMT in Nashville is pretty big. And they were like, what song do you want to release? And I was like, I really want to release this one. And I had this idea for this music video. And I played her the song. And I remember Leslie Fram is probably one of the most powerful women in Nashville, which I did not understand fully when I met her. And she listened to the song 3 times. She's like, this is great. We're going to put it on CMT. And I leave. And I didn't realize what a big thing that was until later on. I realized that hasn't happened for a lot of LGBTQ artists in the past. And we're living in an amazing age that I'm gifted to live in, thankful to a lot of people that have fought for me to be here, where it just wasn't a concern for the people in power. And that was it was crazy to me to be able to experience that without ever feeling that shyness of, should I even do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and not even just in music in general, where it's also true, but especially in country music, which, I know we've kind of jumped a little bit off of how you got to where you are today, but I'm curious, was it always country? Was that sort of always where you found your home musically? Is that always where you wanted to be, or is it just one of many places that you kind of dabble in, or because it is sort of, it feels like a weird
place.
It's still sort of like a weird place for queer artists to find themselves.
Definitely. It's definitely a place where you like, there's this great song called Put Your Records On by Corinne Bailey Rae. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Yes.
it has this,
Yes.
yeah, it has this amazing chorus. It's like, girl, put your records on, play me your favorite song. You go ahead, let your hair down. And I love it so much because I feel like it describes exactly what it means to deal with that pushback or that feeling of uncomfortable that who I am is wrong. And it's that like, don't let 99 people that want to love you miss out on it because you're so scared of that one person. And I think that that's just like the biggest lesson that I've learned in like this journey of getting here is like 99 people are sitting there waiting to love me. And I put that in my head every time I brush up against something uncomfortable because I'm like, it's like when you're serving tables, you serve like 30 tables that are just great. They tip you 25% and that you have that one complete jerk of a table. And what do you think about at the end of the day is that one terrible table. So it's kind of like you have to rewire your brain sometimes to really just focus in on the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I also love it though because I'll be completely honest, I love country music, like, and have heavily stopped listening to it since I was in high school because I couldn't get past so
I get
much
it.
of the
Bro.
Boys
what
Club
has
kind
become,
of vibe.
Well, that and also what has become like so heavily politicized about the whole genre, I think.
Yeah.
In that way that what I found really disappointing about it at the time is like country is soul music, you know? And I'm like, who has more soul than queer people? Let's be real. You know, like there's just there's so much there. There's so much that you can tackle that form, right? And that's what I want to see, and that's why, like, I mean, literally, obviously, you know, this was sort of like a last minute thing to reach out to you and get you on, and that's why we're so excited that it happened. Was like, because I think we both had that immediate like, oh my god, yes, please, like this is what we want. We want like these voices. We want this music out there. But because there's so much there. I'm so intrigued by how that, like, whether there's going to be more of a shift and whether we're going to start seeing more people stepping up. Because, like, you know, I mean, you're a big deal. It's a big deal.
Well, what's so cool is watching so many journeys of the people before me. Like Ty Herndon is a great example. I've gotten to meet him a few times in Nashville. I actually just performed at the GLAAD Awards here in Nashville as well. So I got to see so many artists tell their story. And he said he lost his label. He almost lost his life because of the pressure that caused when he came out. Shane McAnally is married to an amazing man, has 2 kids, arguably one of the top 5 songwriters in this city, which is a huge thing to say. He's in Songland right now doing amazing, and he's very open about it. He posts pictures about him and his husband. He posts pictures of his kids, and it just goes to show you how much things have changed, and you don't really realize that when you're living in the changed part. And I think that the weight of that gravity is only starting to hit me now of how grateful I am of everyone. You know, it's silly, like these people that walk in the streets with pride flags in their underwear, like it matters. Like somebody in Louisiana or middle of nowhere in the Midwest saw that and said, I can be who I am, you know? And it seems silly at first until you realize the happiness that it really represents.
Yeah. That it reminds me a lot. Did you watch the Shelley Wright documentary?
I did not. Do I need to do that?
You need to.
Tell me about it.
It's called Wish Me Away. So the only reason that I know Shelley Wright is because of this documentary. But she was one of the first country musicians to come.
But yes, I do know of her, and she has an incredible story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when she came out. That was huge at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting your story about the documentary.
No, I feel
Tell us
like
about the documentary.
I feel like she's the Ellen of country music.
We need to have like a Skype watching this. You know, you can on Netflix now, you can watch it with somebody and their pictures on the side of the screen. Kind of like a Skype session.
Brilliant.
We should do that. We're all going to get together. And if you're listening in, you can come and watch it with us too.
Perfect. We actually do that with lesbian movies, like with our listeners, so they can.
It.
Yeah,
this is great. Yeah, let's go. No pun intended.
But yeah, it was really amazing, and I think her story is amazing. And it's crazy that I think she came out publicly in 2007, so it's been 12 years since then. Wow. And when she came out, it was, like you said, like
big deal.
big deal, like could be career ruining.
I mean,
Like,
it took a huge hit on her career. I mean, Ellen lost the TV show.
Yeah.
Like completely. People forget that all the time because people just see the
Yes.
success she has now, but she lost everything. And if she had given up at that point, she wouldn't be everything that she is, and we wouldn't be everything we are, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She wasn't always giving away cars, right? There was
And
and
But I do think it is really good to remember, but also, like you said, like such a blessing that you went into talk about this music video and didn't get pushback.
Yeah.
So like it is really amazing that in like a little over 10 years, that's how much further we've come.
Pretty insane.
So I'm just excited to see what comes next.
did you go into that meeting and tell them that you guys were going to do the music video together?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I told her what the song was about. I told her how I wanted to make the music video. And she just was so interesting because I couldn't tell what she was thinking. And she just listened to the song 3 straight times back to back. And I just kind of stood there, which, by the way, very uncomfortable thing to do as an artist. Like, do I bop? Like, do I like clap? Like, do I like act super stoked? Or does
I
that
think
look
you lip sync. You lip sync to it.
like faux perform it for her in her little office? No, she listened to it 3 times back to back, and she looks up and she goes, "We want it. Yeah, we love it. We're down." And I was like, the music video wasn't made. The song wasn't even out. And I had just raised like $8,000 to record to do the music video in the first place. So like nothing was done. And people are asking for like slots like this all the time that are way more powerful. Again, I did not realize this till after the fact. But I guess it's just one of those things, like I have failed so many times in my life. And I think that when you really love something, your brain automatically works like in a tinkering way. So like I work on cars too. So like it's kind of like in the same way if you're facing a problem with an engine, you're tinkering and you get it wrong. You're upset about it, but at the same time, you're obsessed with figuring out how to get it right. And it's the exact same thing when you're doing something that you're passionate about. And the problem is the failures are very personal. Like they burn really deeply because everything is personal. You know, like this is what you want to get right so badly. But that's also the exact same fire that forces you to mentally make a note and say, all right, I need to tweak this and tweak this and tweak this. Let's try it again. You know, it's like skateboarding, running, whatever your passion is. Like if you feel like it hurts, it's probably the right place to be, which I don't know how great advice that is, but that's my take.
No, I think that is valid advice.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's that way for us with the podcast too. Like I feel like we're like, how do we get, I don't know, I'm like ridiculously creative about trying to like get people on the show. You know what I mean? And it's like
I've been there, man.
Like 100 people and like 10 people say yes, but they're awesome people. So like the people who didn't come on, it's like, it's fine. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it. It's like all about problem solving rather than failing. I like that mindset.
Failing forward, as I heard Will Smith say once. The great Will Smith.
Yeah. What's the one that he does on The Good Place too, where he's like, I'm a like middle-aged white man, I can only fail up. We just all need to learn how to fail up, right? I think that's
fail up like a
it.
white man. We can do it.
yeah,
only fail
right?
I'm curious, who was the first openly queer musician that you really remember, like
Brandi
seeing out
Carlile.
there?
Next question.
That was you
So
didn't
fast.
get to answer that or ask that question. That was just like
For
boom.
sure.
There you go. It's okay. We're not on like Jeopardy. You don't have to, like,
Ding, 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 ding. How much did I make? No.
Were you out
who
when
is
you
Brandi Carlile?
heard Brandi Carlile?
You know, honestly, her voice captivated me first. She has such an amazing timbre. Just that break that she does, if you're vocally trained, you immediately recognize how tough that is to do. And even when you're not, you just notice something. It perks your ears up immediately when she does that little break in her voice, especially when it's high, like on the joke or on the story. Mm-hmm. There's just something so raw and wraps you in about it. And I think one of the reasons why I respect her so much is because she was known as like a gay artist at first. When the story came out, and that was like to tell a story of like a gay story, I guess on Grey's Anatomy. Great soundtrack. But then when she won all those Grammys recently this year, I did not read one single headline that even mentioned that she was gay. And I was like, I know the times have changed for sure, but like how established are you as an artist to be the point where like that isn't even something that anybody cares about? Like she's just that good. So I think she's always just kind of grown in my peripheral as an artist and as a person. And I've always liked her.
I mean, she is undeniably amazing. Mm-hmm. It's a very objective thing, but also maybe it's because we're queer women. I feel like we're like, Brandi Carlile is God.
I feel like I want to make shirts that just say like "gay for Brandi," and I'm going to sell them at her concert.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure everyone is gay for Brandi. Yes. So you'll sell a lot of shirts.
I like it. I like this plan, guys.
Yes.
We're going to watch Netflix documentaries and sell Brandi Carlile bootlegger merch. I like it.
This is our life now. Forget everything else. We're done.
We're just staying here, right in this Skype session forever. No. I feel like for me, this is like probably the most cliche, but it has to be Melissa Etheridge.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to get on her cruise. I'm trying to get on her Melissa Etheridge cruise. I'm currently being considered. So I'm like, I'll do it for free. But my manager's like, don't say that yet.
Wait, okay. That's awesome.
How big is your carry-on, though? Because I'm pretty small.
Oh, yeah? Just fit in my bag? It'd be great. I like this plan.
I'll hop in.
I like it. My girlfriend won't mind at all. You just sleep in between it.
I'm very small. I'm a real good cuddler. I'm an excellent travel companion.
I love it.
It's fine. It's fine.
That will be so cool. Have you met Melissa Etheridge before?
I have not. I would definitely be very nervous to meet her, I think. Because you get to meet a lot of people out here, but I think she's one of those ones that like, I think my problem is if I'm really nervous about a celebrity and I'm meeting them, my immediate reaction is to get away from them as soon as possible. So like literally I talk to them like, hi, and then I immediately end the conversation and leave. Like I can't just like sit there and talk to them. Like it's really hard. Rita Wilson,
Yes.
Tom Hanks' wife, she was backstage at the GLAAD Awards too. And my girlfriend wanted to talk to her so bad. And I was like, I just can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. And then finally we talked, and I think she actually wanted to keep talking, and I just left. And my girlfriend's like, why'd you just bail? I'm like, I don't know. I got nervous, okay?
You're like, I can't embarrass myself if I don't speak.
But then you embarrass yourself by just, like, looking
by
like
not speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you. You got to get yourself an Ellie, because that's where she, like, pulls things together for
are
both
you
of
one
us.
of those,
It's great.
like, super social people?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You're just like, you're fearless. She's fearless.
I strongly identify as an extrovert.
All right, Ellie, if you were going to teach somebody that was not an extrovert, that had to, for their job, for all the musicians listening in, had to, for their job, go out and like mingle in, say, like Nashville in front of a bunch of industry and artists, what are the top 3 things they need to know?
Oh my goodness, that is a really good question. I feel like one thing that people need to know that I think actually takes a lot of pressure off is that people want to talk about themselves. So all you need to do is just ask them questions. Clever. And then the onus is on them. They have to carry the conversation.
Is that why you asked me on this podcast?
Yeah, right? I'm like, also, that's why I have a podcast, because all you have to do is just ask other people questions. They talk. And then, I do no work. But that's, I think, the biggest one. And I think number 2 is that everyone else is just as nervous as you are.
Oh.
What I like to do is just try to make other people feel comfortable. And if you make other people feel comfortable, then, like, you're going to be fine.
This is going to be the next, like, workshop Ellie teaches.
I know. I'm also, like... I've never really actively thought about this before, but I feel like I'm saying it. I'm like, yeah, that's true.
I feel like this is a good place for an ad placement, like do, and then like tune in next week, you know?
Yes, tune in next week for Ellie's confidence class. I actually do. I do a class called Comfort Zone Crushers. It's a performance class. I teach a cappella, so I do it at like a cappella festivals.
So you're telling me
I teach it for high schoolers who need to get out of their comfort zone. Yeah.
So we mentioned that Ellie and I met through acapella. This is we literally had a listener make us they made us a set of drinking game rules. We do drinking games for like movies and stuff, and they made us one for the podcast, and one of them is every time we mention that we met through acapella. So
people are gonna have to drink. Sorry.
You know, I did acapella too.
Tell us more.
I went to Georgia Tech for 2 years, and I did a cappella group, all girls, called Nothing But Treble.
What a name.
See that there?
Nice.
I was also in an all-girls a cappella group. Surprise, surprise.
It's where all the cool kids are.
It is. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we're going to have our hot acapella country single coming your way soon. Don't worry.
Yes.
I like it. After the Netflix documentary and the Brandy Carlisle merch.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a busy summer ahead of us, okay?
Can we bring it back to Melissa Etheridge super quickly?
Okay, let's
The gayest
come to my
sentence
window.
ever. So here's one thing. I love Melissa Etheridge. However, I never knew what she looked like.
Oh,
Okay,
did you guess
so-
right or wrong?
So, no, here's the thing. One summer, my girlfriend worked at a Whole Foods, okay? She texts me and she goes, Melissa Etheridge is in Whole Foods. This was on Cape Cod, so I'm pretty sure, like, she was going to Provincetown or something, I don't know. And I go to Whole Foods to, like, stalk Melissa Etheridge, but didn't know what she looked like. So I just start following around this woman who looked like a lesbian.
Are you taking pictures at this point? Is she like trying to get milk from
No,
like
I'm
the
just still trying to like just try to get a glimpse. And I'm following this woman. I'm like, I don't know. This woman doesn't look like she's like a famous person. I don't know. Like she was. This is gonna sound rude, but whatever.
poor
She
woman's
just-
like, who is this kid following me?
yeah. And she's like, why is someone following me? So I pull out my phone and I like look up, you know, what does Melissa Etheridge look like? And it's not this woman.
Oh my
And as
God.
I'm looking at the picture of Melissa Etheridge like walks by me.
Did she see your phone?
And I'm like, I hope she didn't. And then I
man.
felt so awkward. I just never said anything to her. So as Lee's like, I'm fearless, I didn't say hi to Melissa Etheridge when I saw her in a Whole Foods. So am I that fearless? I don't know.
Melissa Etheridge is on a podcast somewhere right now being like, this one time on Cape Cod, I walked past someone like as they
I
were
believe it.
Googling me on their phone.
You heard it first here, folks.
Yeah.
I was in Whole Foods just trying to buy some kombucha and, you know, go about my day.
Yep.
That's funny.
But yeah, I felt too awkward because I had followed that other woman for so long. It was just a lot. But yeah,
Amazing.
I was next to Melissa Etheridge at one point, but nothing happened.
You breathed the same air at some point.
Yeah, we ate the same Whole Foods pizza.
There you go. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/leshangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/leshangout.
Let's hang out.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can be a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help you find options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
You come to the New Yorker Radio Hour for conversations that go deeper with people you really want to hear from, whether it's Bruce Springsteen or Questlove or Olivia Rodrigo, Liz Cheney, or the godfather of artificial intelligence, Jeffrey Hinton, or some of my extraordinarily well-informed colleagues at The New Yorker. So join us every week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Lee, who's yours?
Okay, so can I give my non-answer first? Because as soon as I asked you, and I was like, that probably means I'm going to have to answer this at some point. So, like, who is the first queer artist I can remember? And the first queer artist I remember is actually not.
You thought they were?
Well, it's not that I thought they were, it's that it was Tattoo. Do you remember Tattoo?
Yes.
Yeah. I wish we just had, like, a video of that reaction happening, but yeah. But I mean, that was, like, I think the first big song from when I was in high school where you were just like, oh my god, it's, like, gay.
What is this
like,
song? How do I not know it?
Oh
it's called
my god,
Tattoo?
do you not know? No, the group
That's
was
the
called
band,
Tattoo.
but you
Dude, I have
definitely
no
know the
idea.
song.
But
all
you know
the things
what?
she said.
I grew up in a
And it was the
Spanish-speaking
two
country,
girls,
so...
and they were in the little, like, schoolgirl uniforms, and it wasn't even it was a cover, right? Like, the song existed already. It's a cover of, I don't remember who did the original, All the Things She Said, but it was two girls, and the whole music video was like them with their emo hair and makeup and their little Catholic schoolgirl outfits, and
I
they're
love it
like
already.
making out in the rain. Yeah, I mean, for little, like, baby gay us in high school, I mean, it was, you know, you were just like, they're kissing. Oh my god. I think if I had to name the first actual queer artist, it is probably it probably is, like, Melissa Etheridge, but also, like, Tegan and Sarah.
Oh, Tegan and
Well,
Sarah.
yeah, they're like class, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, like, very obvious peak gay. Yeah.
Peak
Just-
gay. I don't know. I think
yeah.
peak gay would be pink gay.
Pink
Pink?
gay. Yes.
I think she's right there at the top. Who is the most famous female gay person? I suppose lesbian person.
I feel like it has, like,
Singer?
in general, it's Ellen.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that was easy.
Singer?
Second
Yeah,
most
singer
famous.
Singer?
No, not singer.
Singer?
Anything. Anything at all.
Oh, anything Ellen. Yeah.
But after
It has to be
second,
Ellen.
because Ellen's, like, too big. No one's going to reach
I
her.
feel like
So
it's like you would
second.
have to ask a straight person and be like, who's a famous lesbian? Because for me,
Damn it,
I'll
that's
be
so
like,
true.
I'll be like, oh, it's, I don't know, Ellen Page or Kristen Stewart.
No, see, I think if you ask, well, it depends on how old the straight person you're asking is. I feel like in my head, only because we, like, just quoted it in whatever episode we just recorded, but I feel like Martina Navratilova would be a big one.
Okay. I don't know that.
Yeah. No, I think that's
She's a tennis player.
That's a dated reference.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I think I feel like when you say straight people in my head, I'm always like, say I asked a 60-year-old straight person, because like, who's straight under the age of 40 these days? Come on.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No one.
I kind of always feel like everybody's a little gay. Everybody thinks that's
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, in my
especially
experience,
I feel like generations, as you get younger, like everyone's getting more fluid, everyone's getting more queer. Like, I don't know.
I'm just glad the whole phase of like the second somebody tells you they're gay, they like immediately say, I've always wanted to try that. Like, it's like, I'm so glad that phase is over. Maybe that was just a college phase.
It is.
Okay.
It's over.
No, see, I think it's different though, because my college, they just all did
I mean, it
try
worked for me in college. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Got old after that.
Same, but it's, it was detrimental to my health.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Melissa Etheridge would still qualify as like a top billing gay, right?
For sure.
She's like
I think
a pretty
you're right.
well-known gay.
Yeah.
I think so. You guys should make a list like top 10 most favorite lesbian artists.
We'll come up with a complicated algorithm.
I'm gonna be looking
to
for that
rank our
Instagram
gays.
post just so I can troll you. All the wrong.
I'm sure
We're gonna
plenty
put
of people will
together-
troll
okay.
us for that post.
Nothing makes more people angry than a list. I'm telling you.
BuzzFeed's onto something. BuzzFeed, you won't believe who the most famous gays are. Click here to find out. Yeah, no, we're gonna add together like the Twitter followers, the Insta followers, the Google results. Yeah, we'll get like a hard. I'm like the
Comprehensive,
scientist of
hard
the two of us.
evidence.
I love it.
Yeah, I need data. I need like.
I'm just like, I feel like I agree. I feel like I was wrong.
This is what I need. But I think if we had to say most famous queer singers, 100% Janelle Monáe, Hayley Kiyoko. Right?
Janelle Monáe.
Lesbian God, lesbian Jesus. I think so,
there's
right?
a lot of bisexual singers too.
Halsey.
Yeah, Halsey is one of my favorites.
Halsey.
I shouldn't call Janelle Monáe lesbian God because she's like pansexual.
She's
God, right?
pansexual, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, Janelle. Don't hate us, Janelle. Come on the podcast someday.
Can we talk, as we're talking about like all of these musicians who identify certain ways, I want to talk a little bit about musicians in general using the LGBTQ audience to sell records. Or I feel like, okay, so the thing that comes to my mind.
People are playing the gay card to sell more records. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Like,
It's a little pandering.
Do you think that straight musicians now, because it's more accepted, are pandering to audiences by singing about LGBTQ issues? Or do you think it's important for straight people to still sing about the LGBTQ community and it shows they support the community? I feel like there's just been a big debate about that lately. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to hear, what are your thoughts?
I think, have you ever read the book The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell? Mm-mm. Really, really good book, but basically just talks about how there's always a tipping point when it comes to any kind of social, cultural, or like product trend. And in this case, it would obviously be like social and cultural. And I think that honestly, the Taylor Swift video, I saw this, like things starting to get crazy because usually during Pride Month, the first 2 weeks, it's big. The rest of the month, it's pretty quiet. This month, for whatever reason, some wildness happened and it started getting really big. I started seeing tons of big artists talk about the LGBT community that were not in it. And I was like, that's really cool. And then boom, Taylor Swift makes this insanely big video that's honestly, it's going to be one of the top videos that came out this year. Them and the Jonas Brothers, she has taken over YouTube for this year. You know, like that video, easily a $500,000 project. And it has every major famous gay person in it. And then on top, right when that came out, all of a sudden I saw a flurry of people. And I have this idea of what probably happened was, it's the same thing with like racism. If you've never come across it, it's easy to sit back and say, I don't think it exists anymore. I don't understand what all these people are upset about. I'm not like saying whether that's right or wrong. I'm just saying if someone doesn't have experience with it, I see them having that opinion. And only until they see it with their own eyes do they feel like there's something that they have to say about it. So I think what happened was when you saw this huge rise of all these people saying LGBTQ is normal, you also saw that pushback of that 1% of people that are really upset about it. And when that 1% spoke up, it made all these other people realize this is real. Like people are actually really upset about this. And then they felt driven to come out because also they had the safety of the majority now on there. So I think there's this perfect balance between people were driven to say something at the same time that it was a safe place to say it. And I think those two kind of came together at the end of Pride Month this month in 2019, and I think it did a lot of good.
Actually, really, I completely agree with you. I think it's really interesting. There has just been a lot of a lot of people saying the opposite of that, like, it's cool, so they're doing it because it's cool. But I watched the Taylor Swift video, and I think, number one, she has been very vocal about actually supporting LGBTQ organizations, very vocal about trying to change policies regarding LGBTQ people. So for the Taylor Swift video in particular, my personal opinion is that if you are an active supporter of the LGBTQ community besides your music video, and then you use your music video as a platform to help, that's great.
Yeah.
Can we contrast that, though? Because let's contrast that. Okay, so I know we just talked about them, and it's a very old reference, and Angie will need to watch the video. You're gonna go and look up all the things she said tattoo after this, and you're gonna sit in like horrified silence that this was a thing that existed. But you had two girls who were not queer at all, whose whole career was kind of based around like not just sexualizing them in a way that was a little skeevy just because of like how young they were, but like specifically sexualizing them as like lesbians together. And like that was kind of their whole shtick, right? It was like, here's how we'll get attention, right? And so there's that whole thing. I also think, I mean, I know Katy Perry has sort of possibly
I would say dabbled. I'd use the word dabbled.
Yeah, dabbled is a great word. Let's go with dabbled. But when I Kissed a Girl came out, I mean, that was nowhere on anyone's radar, right? You were just having some, you know, at the time, straight girls singing like a bubblegum pop, like, ooh, it's racy because kissing girls, right? As a girl. Like, so those kinds of things, like, does that fall somewhere different? Does that hit us differently?
You know, I think that it's so interesting you brought that up because I was just reading a tweet. There's this woman named Marissa Moss. She's a very, very well-known music critic and journalist. She's probably one of my favorite music writers ever. I read everything she writes, usually Rolling Stone and a bunch of other magazines. But she reposted something that someone else had posted about this. It was like a rap song, and it was these women dancing in it with like nothing but like thongs on and just really dancing, like just jiggling all over. And whatever. And then she like somebody had said like, how is this like the feminist movement? Because like she had said something about like, I can do whatever. And Marissa Moss reposted it, and she was like, she said something really like basically on the side of like, it is feminist because she can do that, and it doesn't mean anybody can disrespect her for it. And I had never thought about that because obviously that's something I would be uncomfortable doing myself. But the more and more I thought about it, the more I was like, what makes my opinion that being authentically sexual or in any regard, even if it does help your career, wouldn't that be the same thing as like someone back in the day saying like you can't wear something you can't show your shoulder on stage, you know? Like, and that was a thing for women in country music. You couldn't show skin. So I'm like, well, I suppose it might be overcorrecting, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily does damage. I think it's hard. I go back and forth with it because at some point I'm like, well, I don't like want our whole culture because it sells so well. It's like bro country. There's nothing wrong with bro country, but when it's all that's selling, it's upsetting because that's what our culture is becoming. So I think balance is key. So like, yes, it's good to be sexual if that's authentically who you are. If you're being sexual just to sell things, it's not going to sell things. People see through that easily. But if it's authentically who you are, I think it's always a good idea. I just hope as a culture, somewhere we figure out a way to even it out. So if you're watching all of these like booty movies, maybe also listen to some Brandi Carlile, you know, whatever. Just like balance yourself out as a culture. Like, I think that's more what we need to promote is diversity in what you're listening to instead of just saying this is right or wrong. Like, just let people listen to what they listen to. But I hope as a culture that we don't overindulge in anything that could be damaging to the way we're raised, I guess.
So I have sort of a follow-up question because it's something else that we wanted to talk about. And I'm also curious about it because you also sing in Spanish a lot, right? And so I think there are things that Elliot wants to talk about like music being like a universal language and stuff like that. But I'm curious, like, does that also carry over to like when people sing in languages or in cultures that like aren't their voice really? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to a friend of mine in El Salvador, which is where I was born, and she was like, it must be so cool to have like all your favorite music in your language, because I speak English and Spanish fluently. And I was just like, dang, I've never thought about that before. But it's true. You go to the Philippines, people know every single word to a Beyonce song, or probably better, a One Direction song. But really, it's fascinating how international it's gotten. I just recently got reposted by Sebastián Yatra, who is like probably one of the biggest Latin singers ever, and it increased my followers by a few thousand like overnight, like just because he reposted something that I did. So like, I know what's crazy is the fact that he saw it, and I made the video here in Nashville from my room. So it's like I've got like 2,000 followers from around the world, you know, and like all of them are clicking on this video that's exclusive to CMT.com right now. And they're like, I can't see it. I can't access this site. And I've never had so many international people wanting to see a video that I made in Nashville about moving from California to Nashville. And people from Germany, Chile, like Greece, I'm getting all these messages. And I'm like, it is just insane how we have grown. It's the upside of the streaming world, is that your audience can literally be anywhere. And you can fight it, or you can realize what a blessing it is and learn how to work with it, you know?
Yeah. I love it. I also love like what you're saying about how you can have people from all over the world. And like Lee was saying, I do want to talk about music as the universal language, but you don't need to actually understand the lyrics to understand the emotion behind the song, right? Like I could listen, I don't speak Spanish, and I can listen to an entire song in Spanish and still like thoroughly enjoy the song and understand what it's about, even if I can't like understand the lyric, which I just think is like Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello. Yeah, we don't need to get into Justin Bieber and that whole debacle.
That's funny.
But yes. I think we touched on this a little bit, but I think this is going to be our little wrap up. You were talking a little bit more about diversity. What do you want to see more in terms of diversity and representation in the music industry in the next decade?
I want to see more life-changing songs. I think that if you look at the scope of the radio right now, I think pop is actually better about it than country. But country, I see a lot of the number one songs be either very well-established artists that fly up and fly down the charts, or they're new artists that have to choose a song that's like very easy party song, easy tempo, like tempo in the middle. And like, those are great songs. But I think that now that we're moving out of just getting a my diverse culture than just the bro country, which sold so well that it just overtook everything, which is nothing wrong with that. But like I said, diversity is key. And finally, I feel like I'm starting to hear more of the ballads on the radio and just like these songs that are just so powerful. And I think the only way that changes is if when you're, you know, laying in bed and you're about to pull the sheets over your head and you're sticking your headphones, it's like, maybe try a new playlist. Like maybe type in your mood and find something new. Like whether it's Apple Music or whatever, like try something new and listen to the lyrics. If someone's saying like, I'm just, you know, slamming all these girls and it's so much fun and I drink champagne, I drive a Lamborghini, whatever, that's fun to play with every once in a while. But like, think about what you're saying, because the things that you listen to become who you are. So like if you listen to that, that's fun if you're just trying to get crunk. But like in your own space, think about what the words are and like ask yourself what they're trying to tell you. And I think my music has grown so much being inspired to really discover new stuff. So I think what I want to see more of is just a diversity, and not just like the pop, the easy hits, the whatever, but really seeing a real good landscape of human emotion, which is like where I think we're starting to lean more towards.
Yeah, as someone who only drinks champagne and drives a Lamborghini, I just really like songs that
Did I offend
speak
you?
to my experience. No, but it's kidding. So funny because it's so true. Like it's something I always joke with my wife about, because like she always has a really hard time like picking out lyrics and stuff, and so she cares so much less about what the words to a song are. Like she's a lot more into like how it sounds, and I'm always like, but listen to it, you know. I'm like there on like genius.com, I'm like looking it up. So yeah, I totally agree. I love when I
feel like we're wired
just,
similarly.
Like, really say something. Yep. It's meant to be. It's why we're going to be a great trio on our hit acapella single.
Yes. I love it. We'll sing on our little tent next to the Brandy Carlisle show with Netflix playing in the background.
Yes, me in your suitcase on Melissa Etheridge.
I love it.
It's timely.
Oh, is it time?
Yes.
Okay, it is time. So we have a segment that we like to wrap up with. Okay. It is called Q and Gay.
Q and gay.
And we have just a couple multiple choice or yes or no questions. And what we do is we will ask you, some of them we might have covered already, but we can answer them definitively, and then we will put them up on our Twitter for all of our listeners to answer as well.
I love it.
So why don't I start us off? Question 1. Who is your favorite LGBTQ pop singer out of the following 4 choices? A. Hayley Kiyoko, B. Kehlani, C. Janelle Monáe, or D. Halsey?
I'm a big Halsey fan, man.
Nice.
Halsey is good.
I like her music. She's a good writer.
She is a really amazing singer, too. I'm very much like, you have to have good vocals or like, I'm out. We can't do it. Okay, number 2. What's your favorite language to sing in? A, English, B, Spanish, or C, other?
I left it open-ended.
Yeah, for our listeners.
I really like singing in Japanese, actually. I was gonna...
We're awaiting that country single next.
It's not that I like singing in Spanish, but I do. There's something about the beat that I find very, very fun. So I love playing it live because it makes people dance. But there's so many English songs that I love too. It's just, I think live, I do really love the beat of a Spanish song.
Not to put you on the spot again, but question 3, who is your favorite LGBTQ country singer out of Shelley Wright, Katie Lang, Maya Sharp, or Angie K?
I heard the last one's really good. This is a hard one.
I think I heard that recently somewhere too, yeah.
I think Shaylee Wright, I really been getting into a lot of her stuff.
All right, number 4. This is a loaded question. Do you think straight artists should sing about the LGBTQ community? Yes or no?
I guess in what regard? Like just sing like, I love rainbows and gay people? Like what are you singing?
Wait, did you hear the song I'm working on? How did you get a copy of it?
No, I guess you're talking more like, for example, Taylor Swift saying, because Shade never made anyone less gay, like in that regard.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's rad. I think like as long as it's authentic and it's something you want to say, it's right. If it's not, people see through it. Like if there's one thing I've learned in doing this for 8 years on the road, actually me and Annie Clements were talking about this the other day. Annie Clements is a fantastic bass player. She plays for Maren Morris. And her and I have like a little bit of a jam band that plays down on Broadway when we're in town. And Broadway is a major street. It's like the Strip in Vegas, except for Nashville. And me and her were talking, and it was like there's this balance you have as a performer that is trying too hard and being too comfortable. And you're always going to be going between the two, and you'll finally hit the pocket in these perfect moments. And it's literally when you realize you're 100% comfortable in your own skin, and the audience knows it, and there's no in between you and the audience. It's like you're really just enjoying the company. And I think that as an artist, that is the place you have to be if you're going to release a song. So like if you're going to release a song and you at all feel like you're trying too hard or you're too comfortable, it's probably not the right song. So I guess that would be like my way of detecting whether or not it's right. Because like you're saying, there is a community out there that's willing to support LGBTQ supporters and allies and artists. It's not right to abuse that if that's not what you truly feel is your calling to say and to fight for. But then again, anything positive being said about the community, in my head, I don't see that as a step backwards.
Love it.
Nice. I also have a loaded question, which is question 5. But really, though, should you leave California?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I definitely miss California. It's hard to live by the ocean and then not. But I mean, Nashville is just so cool, and it's definitely growing on Marissa. I'm not gonna lie. When we moved, it was pretty gray. She's pretty moody. But then when the sun came out, she was like happy again. I was like, man, is this how all Californians are? If you're from California, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, when the sky's out, like then the sky's blue and it's not raining, she's very happy. But she's still getting used to the the torrential downpours and thunderstorms in between.
So you're not long distance anymore. You live together?
No. She's here. Her office is right there. So
That's awesome. So when you wrote the song, you were long distance?
Yeah. So Riss and I, Marissa Boucher, my girlfriend and I, we met on a cruise ship. I was working and she was cruising as a guest. And we were just friends for like 3 years. And then we dated for almost four. And we did the long distance thing. We lived in California for a little over 2 years, like almost 3 years. And then I signed with Jake Owen's manager. Jake Owen's a pretty big country artist. And because of that, I was flying back and forth so much to Nashville. I was finally like, I've got to move. And so I moved all the way to Nashville and we did long distance for a year. And it was really hard. And finally, I kind of mustered up the courage to ask her to move, despite the fact that all of her friends and family were there, her business were there, her employees were there. This whole life she had built was there. And I was asking for uproot it all and to move here with me for my dreams. And it's not like I'm like super established either. So it was a big risk. And I just kind of, these words just kept coming out and I kept refining it. And I probably never spent as long as I did on this song on anything else I've written, just because it was something I really wanted to get right. Not just for the song's sake, but for my sake. And so finally I wrote it and I played it for her. And, it's like what we were loop it back to the beginning, when you're playing guitar, they have to listen. So she listened and she finally moved.
Nice. So the answer is yes, you should leave California, but only for love or music, which I think Ellie and I can get on board with.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And only if your girlfriend writes you a song.
Yeah. I like these. Learning important things on this podcast.
Kelsey got me to move to California, and she didn't write me a song at all.
Well, overdue for a song, Lee.
I'll tell her. Remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
So where can our listeners find you on social media, Angie? What are your handles?
To find my music, it's super easy. Just type in Angie space K, like the letter K, and I'll be on Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you can find music, you'll find mine under that name. If you want to find me on Instagram, which I read all my DMs, that's how I got on this podcast.
Yes.
All you have to do is type in Angie and K-E-I. So Angie and K-E-I. Don't try to spell the rest of the name. I get it wrong sometimes. It's really complicated. Just type in Angie and then K-E-I. You will find me. Shoot me a message. Say hi. I'd love to hear from you.
Cool. And do you have anything coming up that you want to let our listeners know about?
Yeah, I have a few shows coming up the end of September, the 23rd to the 26th. I'm doing something called the Island Hopper Festival, which is one of my favorite things to do all year. It's hosted by BMI, and it's like all of these huge country and pop songwriters come down to Fort Myers Beach in Florida, and we do something called Writers Round, which is really a Nashville thing where the writers sit on stage and they tell you the story behind the song, and you play it. Like last year, I played with Frank Myers. He's written I Swear, From My Front Porch Looking In, like these big hits that you've heard on the radio, but you've never heard the writer side of why they wrote it. And so it's a really unique festival, and there's also going to be like a big gay night. They're deciding which day that's going to be. It's going to be, I think, the 26th or the 25th. That is going to be a party you will never forget. So if you're in the LGBT community and you're anywhere near Fort Myers, Island Hopper Festival, it's going to be fun. I'll see you there.
Super cool.
That sounds awesome. And Angie will also be doing an Instagram story takeover on our Instagram, so make sure you follow us at Les Hangout Pod and send all your questions for Angie.
Angie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was amazing.
It was fun. Thanks for dealing with all the technical difficulties. The listeners will never know.
Except for now, when you just said it. God damn it. No.
That's funny.
No, it's Ellie edits and it's magical.
Leave California. Run away with me to Tennessee. I know that you love the water. We could find us a place on Percy Priest. I'm just waiting on ya. Leave California. Well, I know it's hard to give it all to a girl like me, playing guitar just to make ends meet. I ain't got much, but I got this dream. I got a tank full of gasoline, yeah, and a shotgun seat. So leave California, run away with me to Tennessee.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you, and we love continuing to build this community, so we like to take the chance every episode to just shout out some of our favorite things happening lately.
And one of those things and people is Fearless Nina on Instagram. They messaged us saying they found our podcast and said it's been the best, most fun companion on long train and bus rides for the past 2 days. They're also listening in Japan while they're traveling with their family, which is super cool, and sent us this really awesome picture of them holding their phone in front of these mountain roads. And I just felt like we were there with them on the mountain. So thank you, Fearless Nina.
Holding their phone, showing them listening to the podcast. So we're traveling the world
just
with
holding
them.
Their phone. No reason.
They just sent us a picture of their phone because it's really pretty fun. No, they're bringing us with them, and we think that's great because it touches our little gay hearts. That's what it does.
Yes.
We love it, so thank you for sharing. And as always, we also want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Lizette Stye,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jess Klaus,
Danny Griswold,
Michelle Ray Thomas,
Sarah and Julia,
Nicole Gross,
Carrie Ann Lawrence,
Mark Foster,
and Danny Gunlock Timura.
And I am so happy to be able to say this last one. We have a new King Princess patron, and that is Kayla Kelly, who has been the #1 fan of this podcast since we came out. I just want to say how much I love you. Lee loves you. Kayla is truly a king. So
Kayla, you are leaving no doubt the #1 fan spot. You jumped on that. So everyone else, the bar has been set now. There's no going back.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Make sure that you subscribe so that you'll be the first one to know when new episodes go up every week.
We're also posting on our YouTube channel this season, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod.
If you want to help support the podcast, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. The easiest one is stop by iTunes, leave us a rating or a review, or both. It really helps new people find the podcast.
And of course, you can support us on Patreon at bit.ly/lespatreon. We have our newest King Princess tier where you can vote on a Should Have Been Gay for us to record. We are so excited to get started on that. And then also our ultimate sponsorship tier if you have an LGBTQ business that you want us to shout out.
If you want to deck yourself out in some Les Hangout swag, you can do that at our TeePublic store. You can find it at bit.ly/lesshop.
And if you want to find us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram and Twitter.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at LSHFoster.
And with that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent. And I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.